PC plastic. Because it's got the same flexibility to it. It's like, this is flexible. And those models will, while most of those models are white, the Reaper Bones lines, there are ones that come in colors. And the flex can be annoying. It also makes cleaning up mold lines a lot more difficult because the plastic doesn't cut as easily. It's annoying at times, and I fully will agree on that one. All right. Let's find a color for bone. Here's one I've been using. Storm Hunter's High. It's a color I've been using a lot lately for base coating bone. Highlight French Tank Crew. I don't know why. I actually like it. It's got decent coverage, and you guys, we want to go more for like just kind of an ochreish bone color. I think it works just fine. And then you can always good. You can shade it and highlight it. What's what? The model in the picture, the model in the center of my screen. I don't know the name, but he's basically an off-brand equivalent to like GW's Great Unclean one. I wish I knew the name of the model. I do. But like, it's not my model. It's my client's model, and he just sent it to me, and I'm like, okay, I'll paint your guy. And I don't remember if he actually named it or what. I guess I could always go look back through our conversations and see if it's in there, but off the top of my head, I don't know what it's called. I don't remember if it's from a company called Demon Forge. It might be. Don't quote me for sure. Yeah, it's definitely Nurgle. No doubt in my mind that this is definitely supposed to be Nurgle. And my only instructions for painting this guy was make him look nasty. Got teeth right here. Teeth are weird bones. I actually have a greater daemon of Slanesh over here, still halfway assembled because of the things in the butt. It's the old metallic model, and unfortunately, I send people pictures before I ever get paid. Greater Demon of Slanesh, as I said, he's not completely constructed, and also he's going to be kind of that. He's going to be kind of the light bluish color flesh on this guy. He's got by the way, yeah, this guy has 2 head choices. He can go with like this goat head, but instead he decided, nah, I want the squid face. Which is fine, because the squid face is cooler. That thing's been a pain in my butt. Just because it's difficult to get it to stay attached. Almost to the point where I am almost going to go pick up some like JB Weld and see it test it out on one of my like spare computer models, make sure it doesn't melt it. And if it doesn't, JB welding the thing together. You can now. Back in the day, it was a lot more difficult though for the plastic ones to measure up to pewter. Not to say there aren't some really, really good pewter casts out there. Because, like, pewter and all, I would love working on any Infinity model. The detail makes it more than worth the fact that they're pewter. It's just so nice and clean and fun, and I like them. Not that if Corvus Belli decided, hey, we're going to release all of our Infinity figures now in plastic, I wouldn't be jumping for joy, because I would love that. That's including you get the pins to line up right. Because that's like one problem I've had on him, as I've not been able to get the pins to line up as well as I would like to. This guy has got some big ass toenails. Other hand doesn't seem to have fingernails on it, so I'm gonna skip it. Like, look at these toenails. I hate to have one of these ingrown. Horrible. Well, I mean, even if I'm hitting like the nails with this base color, it doesn't mean they're gonna look the same in the end as like all the other parts that are getting this color. It's just a really nice starting point. That I really like as a starting point. Like, I can come in here, give this a whole similar wash that I did the whole skin, and we'll give him that kind of look, and then I can hit it with some like lighter greens too. But yeah, like I've had some really easy small pewter models that just stay together unless you purposely try to take them apart. And then this guy pinning green stuff. Doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't seem like he wants to stay together. Like, I've glued his legs on 3 times. I glued this arm on 3 times. I've glued this arm on once, but that's just because I glued it on today. And then I also, after gluing his legs on, realized I had to manipulate his legs so that he could stand on this without both of his feet basically facing out and off. Or him, or the base being like this and him laying like this. Because this model was like bent a lot out of shape. Funny story. I have the old pewter Hydra model from the Dark Elves line, and I, being the genius that I am, put everything else in the box set, including the guys that wrangle the Hydra, because I got that big like $200 starter army set that now only covers like maybe a third of a Warhammer Fantasy army if Warhammer Fantasy was still a thing. But I put everything else in there together, like immediately, except the Hydra for whatever reason. I think it was because there was rules for different Hydras, and I didn't decide which one I wanted to do. But yeah, I didn't put them together. So I finally, a few years ago, more than a decade after this model was released and has now been replaced 2 to 3 times with a different Hydra model, put them together, and came to realize that it had duplicate parts and was missing other parts. It had like a duplicate headpiece that didn't go together right because it wasn't supposed to have any duplicates. There was supposed to be a different head entirely. So, this model being nearly a decade out of print, I cannot get replacement parts for this. If I had put it together when I put everything else together, I would have replacement parts available to me because I just call GW and they'd be like, "Oh, that's stupid. Here's your part." Actually, what I did was I did some cutting and a little bit of sculpting to get that head to attach to the neck that it was supposed to have the other head attached to it in a way where it didn't get in the way of the other heads. So I now have duplicate heads on there with green stuff and cuts and everything, putting it together. I believe the neck now is a little shorter than it's supposed to be, but it's better than what it was going to be. Alright, I'm gonna get some purple on this guy, so get a purple. I still love to play set called a GW. Hey, GW. I was 12 when I bought this brand new Dark Elf kit with your brand new pewter Hydra in it. And what do you know? Turns out the kit didn't have the right pieces in it. Can you do something for me? They would have no idea what to do. There's no way they could satisfy me in a way that they would think would be good. I mean, like, there's absolutely zero way they could solve the problem. That's just a fact. As the problem is, I've got an out-of-date model that has the wrong pieces, and outside of eBay, there's probably no way of finding those correct pieces. And by the way, if you think this looks bright, it's fine. It'll get toned down eventually through one way or another. Whether I go back over it with a brown wash, or I do a darker purple in some places, or I hit it with some blues or dark blues or greens, it'll get toned down. I want to get some of this purple on this guy. I would agree with you, except for I know for a fact that they liquidated literally a lot of their pewter models that they had left over. Like, except for like, it's a little more washed out on the computer on the screen. So, I am. It looks a little bit brighter to me probably than it does to you. But yeah, I know couple years ago, except for certain lines and certain models, they literally melted down a lot of their old pewter stuff they had laying around. So chances are they don't have it anymore. Even if they did it at one point, they probably don't now. Well, you worked at the retail. Well, retail stores might. Some retail stores might have it, but like their warehouses melted down a lot of their pewter stock. But the other problem you run into there, though, is that you got to find GW stores, and I know a bunch of them have been closing, or it did close at some point. I don't know about here in PA because I've never looked for one, but basically every single one in Michigan closed, where I used to live. So. By the way, this is just paint what I'm putting on this guy right now. It's quite literally just hexed lichen really, really thinned down and painted carefully into the crevices. Yeah, I know. Which, like, if I ever wanted to get into competition painting, there is still stuff out there, but, like, Games Day would have been nice. Heck, if they ever had a Games Day close enough to me, I probably would have tried the junior competition. But there was no way I was going to convince my parents, hey, let me paint this model kind of not great, and then let's drive to Chicago or New York or wherever they were holding it that year. Just so I can be told that I need to get better. Yeah, but even southern Michigan, that's still a really far drive. Got too much brush. That. So other subjects of conversation. What have people been watching lately? Television, internets, YouTubes. Doesn't have to be all about painting. I there's no way. I make a modest. We live very modestly, and there's no way I could have convinced my wife to let me do that. If like she was all for me going to a closer convention and teaching painting, but going that far for competition is not something I'll be able to convince her to let me do. Especially with an 8-year-old or 7-year-old. Now he'll be 8 by the time Adepticon comes around, so 8-year-old. Well, just hour or two a day. You should. I mean, depending on how intricate you're talking about, but like an hour or two a day, you could have a really nice, decent, smaller model done by then. Making my son. What time is it? 3. All right. Not quite. Promised my wife I'd let him go play in the backyard. Round 5. I just don't want him getting out there too early because I'm gonna get in this sandbox and then he'll be tracking stuff for the house. Well, my wife is frugal, so I put way too much paint on my palette for what I needed this for. Because it didn't come out really well. Came out with a big clump. Oh, I ask about what people have been watching because like there's stuff I've been watching. I'd love to have people to talk about with, but like no guarantee anyone else watches what I watch. That watches me stream. But you tell me what you watch. No, see, I don't watch Game of Thrones. Which is not to say it's good or bad. I just don't have HBO or that much of an interest in it. Besides, I'd rather read the books first, which I haven't done yet, so. The only thing I know about recent Game of Thrones is the whole hold the door thing. And I'm just like, this wasn't obvious. Like, that's exactly what his name has sounded like this entire time I've known of him, and this is now a revelation. Like, I made that joke before it became an actual thing in the show. And which is why people hate it when I make jokes like that, because I make jokes like that and then people get angry at me when my jokes actually turn out to be the truth. And then I'm just like, I didn't know. I haven't read the books. I'm just really, really bad at making jokes that turn out to be actually true. Oh no, Hodor's death is, yeah, it's sad. It's just, actually, it's a lot darker once it dries. It looks good. Or at least assumed death. Do they actually show him dead? Is my question. Because if not, you can't assume death, because like that's a very, very common trick in storytelling mediums. You don't actually show him dead, you just imply he's dead. So people assume he's dead. And then he comes back later not dead. It's like they'll show situations that you're like, well, there's no way he came out of that alive. And then he came out of that alive somehow. And it's just weird. Like Batman the Animated Series did that all the time with the Joker. The Joker goes flying. He falls 600 feet down into a pipe or a smokestack. Hey, he's on next week's episode. Oh, he's not dead? How did that not kill him? Okay, well, see, I don't know what White Walkers are that well. I know there's some sort of mythical thing in there, but or mythical creature in the show. I don't know exactly what they are or how they work or anything like that. I'm gonna have okay. I have an idea. I actually have a really cool idea. I'm gonna somehow make some sort of green pus or something, and it's gonna come out of the back of these back vents, and that's what's gonna be on the pool. It's coming out of these back like vent thingies or whatever these are, and it's gonna pool on the ground here. And that's what I'm gonna do with that. Okay, so White Walkers are zombies. Which, as far as a fantasy show goes, yeah, that counts as like mythical creatures. I was really hoping someone would be like, "I've been watching Voltron," and they'd be like, "So have I. It's awesome." Isn't Pidge adorable? And of course, anyone who knows what Voltron is but hasn't seen the new show is just like, "What's wrong with you? Why do you think Pidge is adorable?" I mean, other than he kind of was, but like, there's a whole different reason why he's adorable now. Yeah, I was getting my hopes up too much. Okay, you go do your work. Have a nice day. I'm gonna keep working on my work. Have fun with instructing people on your martial arts. That's really cool. I wish I still knew how to do martial arts. By the way, for those of you in here, I will be probably working most of this week, most of the rest of this week for sure. My goal is basically to get a guy done in one of these big guys done in 2 days, at hopefully roughly 4 hours a day. And it's such a short period of time just because I got a kid I gotta take care of. Daddy duties come first, unfortunately. That sounded so bad when I said unfortunately. It's not unfortunate. Just daddy duties come first. I guess it's unfortunate for the people who'd rather watch me paint, but You're jerks. Alrighty. A little bit more of this, not too much, because I'm going to start going overboard if I do too much more. Wanted purple get brought in on this guy, though, but got that in there. That's nice. I might not even actually have to do the blue. The reason I was thinking about the blue is because I thought I was going to have to make this... I thought I was going to put blue in there to even this out a little bit. Tone and get it to knock down the brightness. But I think once it's dry, it's actually quite about the right tone for this. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually really okay with how this is turning out. Put it up here.